Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles in this episode. I'm going to talk about Doctor Who on Disney Plus, New Who or Boo Who. It depends on who you ask. But we're going to talk about the numbers again. They're not very good again, and it seems like they're trying very hard to hide these numbers, doesn't it? I had Martin write me, thank you Martin, and he informed me that there is no audience appreciation index available for the current season of Doctor Who. I guess this is something they've been doing for years to show how vested viewers are in this show, and they're not releasing those numbers. We're not hearing anything from Disney or Samba TV about the numbers for Doctor Who on Disney Plus, and you know, if Doctor Who was a massive hit on Disney Plus, that they would be crowing about it, but they are saying nothing. Disney is saying nothing about Doctor Who. Isn't that weird? I think that's pretty weird. What that tells me is that this show is not resonating with Disney Plus viewers, and the BBC numbers are probably more indicative of how many people are watching this show. And I know, other than to make fun of it, very few people are talking about Doctor Who now. The show has been in decline for quite some time. I thought Russell T Davies coming back would save it, foolishly thinking it would save the show, but it seems like it's actually hastened its demise because they've decided to double down on politics and fan blaming. And it's sad. It's really sad. But at some point, and I've kind of reached the same point with Star Wars and some other franchises, you realize it's like a corporate owned thing, right? And there's really nothing you can do to save it. So what you can do is starve them of oxygen and just be like, look, this show's not for me. You've made it very clear that you don't want the bigots and the Nazis watching the show. And apparently every straight white dude's a bigot and a Nazi. You don't want us watching your stuff. You don't want us buying your merchandise. You don't want us in this fandom anymore. You know? So I guess we just don't participate. We don't watch. We don't buy. We'll see how far you get. You know, that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's the same with Star Wars. We did a video earlier today talking about Star Wars and how, oh my God, plot twist, 70% of the Star Wars fan base is made up of men over 30 years old. Can you imagine that? So what does Disney do? Well, they double down on female leads, female characters, which is fine, but they're also actively pushing away that old audience. They think, stupidly, that if they push the stinky old men away, that all of these women and diverse peoples are going to come in and fill the void. In fact, I think it was Ncuti Gatwa who said that he couldn't wait to get rid of all the bigots from the Doctor Who fandom because five more diverse people are going to come in and take their place. No, Ncuti. I don't know if you're just young, naive, what. That's not happening. In fact, you're pushing people out of the fandom and they're not coming back, and they're not being replaced either because kids today don't give a shit about Doctor Who. They don't give a shit about Star Wars, and a lot of them are losing interest in Marvel as well. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're either stuck with the audience that you don't want, and this is kind of true of comic books too. We've seen this in comic books and in video games. You're stuck with the audience that you don't want, or you just try to build an audience from scratch, but that's hard, right? It's really hard to build something new. So these corporations basically want your money, but they don't want you to say anything. They don't want any feedback. You're supposed to just shut up and bankroll their fan fiction. They're really expensive fan fiction, but you're not allowed to say anything. But by God, you better keep spending money. You better keep watching. But you're not allowed to say anything about it. You're not allowed to criticize the shows at all. I just say let them have it. I feel the same way about Doctor Who that I feel about Star Wars. I am so apathetic at this point, other than to make fun of them, make fun of this corporatism, this thought process behind the destruction of so many of these shows. And they claim it's for diversity and inclusion, that they want to cast a wider net and they want to grow the fan base. That's not really what it's about. It is about growing the fan base, but it's purely financial. They tell you the things you want to hear because they want more people to come into the fandom so they can market to you. Look at Dungeons and Dragons. And that they said the quiet part out loud. They basically said they wanted more diverse people and women to come into Dungeons and Dragons so Wizards of the Coast could turn it into a lifestyle brand, and they could sell you D&D purses and D&D pumps and D&D chapsticks and makeup kits, and they literally have all these things. You know what I'm saying? It's all about corporatism. That's what this is all about. So we're gonna talk about the numbers anyway. I'm having a cathartic moment where I've just gotten to a place where I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care what they do with these franchises anymore because it doesn't matter. They're owned by corporations. The people that were involved with these shows, most of them, these franchises originally, they've noped out. George Lucas cashed his check. TSR doesn't own Dungeons and Dragons anymore, and Wizards of the Coast is doubling down on corporate greed and AI and all this other stuff. I mean, it's just a shell of what it was. So why should I care? If they don't care, why should I care? It's not like I can get it back from them. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, you need to fight for these franchises. Fight who? Disney? You're going to fight Disney for control of Star Wars? Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to buy Star Wars off of Disney? No, you're not. No, you're not. What's going to happen is they might walk it back a little bit just to make sure that you bigots don't take your bigot bucks someplace else. But then they'll just turn right around and try the same shit. You know, I mean, it's kind of like I just give up. It's like, well, you don't want me in the Star Wars fandom. You don't want me in the Doctor Who fandom. You don't want me playing D&D. You don't want me watching Amazon's Lord of the Rings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I will acknowledge when you occasionally get something right. If something is good occasionally, you know, in spite of the corporate ownership, but just realize all these things are just corporate products right now. That's all they are. That's all they are. And it's going to be what's going to be. Occasionally we'll get thrown a bone, like with X-Men 97, where Bo DeMeo actually cared about the source material and he actually gave us a damn good show. But I think the next season's probably going to be hot trash because he's not involved very heavily and Disney's going to Disney. Anyway, I took the long way around, didn't I? Let's talk about this. So this is coming from Doctor Who, TV.co.uk. Doctor Who's future beyond 2025 is still up in the air, but Russell T Davies remains very confident. Yeah, he's actually scripting season 3. I wouldn't get too confident because this is the same guy who said that if it wasn't for Disney, there probably wouldn't be any more Doctor Who. It's a very expensive show. And, you know, the viewership is in decline. We're going to take another look at those numbers. And it's indisputable at this point. And they've got some stuff going on with the TV license situation over there, which I still don't fully understand the whole TV license thing. But basically, the gravy train is going to run out pretty soon, as I understand it. And it's sort of, I guess it'd be like, you know, them forcing us to pay for PBS or something over here. Which is dumb. Like PBS, I don't know, is it still a thing? Like everybody's watching streaming now. You can watch streaming for free. You can go buy a $300 television from Walmart. And as long as you have an internet connection, more TV than you can ever possibly watch is available to you via a Roku right out of the box. Just plug it in, turn it on. You don't need a separate application or anything. All kinds of channels on Roku. So I don't know if anybody even bothers with PBS anymore, but anyway, this is coming from Doctor Who TV.co.uk. Russell T Davies has revealed that he's working on future scripts for Doctor Who. Good luck with that. But the official status of the show beyond 2025 is still up in the air. Series 15 has already been filmed. Yeah, basically 14 and 15, the Ncuti Gatwa era. It was like one season of Doctor Who split into 2 parts because that's a streaming season now. 8 episodes apparently is a season, but it used to be 13, 14 episodes and a special every year. You know, except every once in a while they would just do a couple specials or something if, you know, the money wasn't there or whatever. But yeah, this is really weird. Even Matt Smith, I think was it Series 7 was the one they split in half, but it was still like Series 7A and Series 7B. It was still the same series, but they're just calling it, you know, season 14 and 15. So 15 has already been filmed and is confirmed to air in 2025. Series 16 of Doctor Who has not even been commissioned yet, but Russell T Davies is very confident it's going to happen. Davies told the Radio Times, "I'm working on the 4th script right now. It's not actually commissioned. That's still up in the air, but that's the same for every TV program. Yes, but they don't cost as much as Doctor Who. Doctor Who is incredibly expensive." He adds, "I shouldn't say we're confident because that's asking for a fall, but we're very confident, to be honest, and we'll just keep going." I mean, Doctor Who, look, I don't know what would take for Doctor Who to get canceled, but the fact that he said that Disney bankrolling these 2 seasons was why they're happening, and we can see the increase in the budget. I don't know. The BBC may not want to bankroll any more themselves. You know, we saw the Jodie Whittaker era was cheap. It was a very cheap version of Doctor Who. And the cinematography was good, but the episodes were cheap. They all took place in Earth or Earth-like environments. We didn't have anything like visually spectacular. It looked very low rent compared to previous seasons of Doctor Who. So Gott was going to the theater to do some real acting. So let's talk about this, though. This is the ratings. They're bad. They're not good. We've got we've got the ratings for episode 5 and the ratings for episode 6, and they're dropping again. You know, Dot and Bubble, the consolidated ratings are some of the worst the show's ever seen. And yeah, it's not good. We just keep dropping. There's a little bit of a bump, but it's still not good, guys. So yeah, episode 1 overnight did 2.6 million, plus 7 TV only 3.7 million, and plus 4 million. And it's been pretty much downward, except for episode 4. They had a little bit of a bump. My understanding from that, and I would have to look into it more, but I believe there was a sports program or something on that led into that episode, and people just left the TVs on. But yeah, 5, not good. 2.12, 3.1. And we're at 3.38 million. Episode 6, 2.11 million. So that means it's probably going to be lower on the plus 7 and the plus 4. And we're not hearing anything. We're not hearing anything from Disney or Samba about the viewership for Doctor Who on Disney Plus, because I don't think it's very good. We're not getting the audience appreciation index. Again, thank you, Martin. And that would have been here, but we're not getting that. They're not going to report it, according to him. He said that it's for internal consumption only. That tells me that people aren't real happy with it. And, you know, I've had people jump into the comments and they said, the show's not that bad. It's not bad. Stop hating on it. I just don't care anymore. I can't even muster up enough give a shit. You know, that's where I'm at with it. It could be good. I'll be honest. I saw, you know, clips here and there, and I don't think Shudy's a bad actor. I don't know if I really get the Doctor from him. Kind of the same with Jodie Whittaker. Like, I didn't think she was a terrible actress. I just didn't think she was the Doctor. But that being said, like, I'm just so numb to it now. It's the same with Star Wars. Like, you could give me the best damn Star Wars ever and, you know, fool me twice. Because what happened was I came back reluctantly for The Mandalorian after so many people told me that The Mandalorian was really good. I came back. I got invested in it. And then the other shoe dropped, first with the Gina Carano situation, which was complete bullshit. And then with season 3 of The Mandalorian sucking, Boba Fett sucking, Obi-Wan sucking, I didn't bother watching any of the other shows. And it's the same with Doctor Who. I mean, the Whittaker era sucked. It sucked. And they did David Tennant dirty in the specials, I think. So I'm not coming back. But if you enjoy it, fantastic. Good for you. I mean, I'm happy for you. But I think a lot of people are just moving on. I think they're moving on because we know you don't want us. You don't want the old audience. You don't want the old heads. And I hate to break it to you, but the old heads are the ones that have the disposable income. They're the ones that have the kids that they buy the toys for. They're the ones that take their kids to theme parks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say, hey, we don't want this crusty old audience, but they have more money than the audience you're chasing. And we've seen it in so many other fandoms. We've seen it in comics. We've seen it in video games. We had so many quote unquote comic book fans that were very good at pirating comic books. That's what they did. They were fans of a comic, but they never paid for them. They always pirated them. Meanwhile, the people who actually bought the comic books were being told to go get fucked, basically. sometimes by the people working on the comic books. So you know what? After years of that, people just said, you know what? I'm not going to give you my money anymore. I'm not doing it. And it's the same with Doctor Who, and it's the same with Star Wars, and it's going to be the same with Lord of the Rings and all this other stuff that these corporations own. They just run it into the ground. So I don't know. Will Doctor Who continue? Probably in some form. Will they maybe give it a rest for a couple years after Gatwa and try again? Yeah, probably. Will people come back? I don't know if they will. It's very easy to break those habits, right? I learned that during the pandemic, especially. Like, you stop going to certain restaurants, or you stop, doing certain things. A lot of people, their habits were broken, going to comic shops and going to movie theaters, and I think it's the same. These shows are not what they were, and a lot of people are like, life is too short. There is an infinite possibilities of shows to watch, things to do, old shows to watch. I don't need to watch any of this stuff, and they're not going to watch it. I think it is time to move on. I think it's time for us to just realize that you pick your battles, and this war is lost. At least with certain franchises, they're never going to go back to what they were, and that's fine. Life moves on. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.